Hi, boys and girls. Okay, so we are going to review the work that we did yesterday for NTI Day 21. But before we get started, I'm going to give you guys your riddle. You might want to pause this and go get a piece of paper and a pencil to write this down because you got to do some thinking. So I'll give you a second right now. Pause. Okay. Now you should have your piece of paper and your pencil. Okay, so here is your riddle. And you have to solve this and give me the answer during our Zoom meeting. When Lisa was 6 years old, her sister Lucy was half of her age. If Lisa is 40 today, how old is Lucy? Okay, so I'll be waiting to see how many of you guys got that right during our Zoom. I'll give you a big shout out. Okay, so we're going to start with math bait. I am going to put you down here so you can see the whiteboard. And we're going to talk about your math bait and go over some of the responses that I got from you guys. Okay, so we have 2 tenths. This one we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 S's, okay? So this one is written in numbers, right? This one's letters, okay? So this one is got 2 as a numerator. This one would have 5 as a numerator because there is 5 circled, right? This one has 10 equal parts. And this one has 10 equal parts. Okay, so if I go back through here and I need to tell how are these things the same and how are they different, obviously both of them have 10 as a denominator, right? But this one's different because it has 2 as a numerator. This one's different because it has 5 as a numerator. Okay, this one, if I were to find an equivalent fraction for this, let's say I divided this part by 2 and this part by 2, that would be 1/5. So it could be broken down into 1/5. This one, which is 5/10, if I did the same thing, if I divided this by 5 and this by 5, then that would be broken down and it would make 1/2. Okay, so that's kind of how they're the same and they're different. If I look at these two things and I want to tell which one's bigger and which one's smaller, okay, so both of them would be broken up into tenths. So I need 2 bars that are the same size, and I'm going to break them up both into 10 pieces, right? So I need 9 breaks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so 2 tenths would look like this. 1, 2. 5 tenths would look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2 tenths is going to be smaller than 5 tenths. Remember, when your denominator is the same, you go and look at your numerator. The larger numerator is going to be the bigger number. That does not always happen when you have your numerators the same and your denominator is different. If both of my numerators were the same, say both of them were 10, but my denominators were different, this would mean, like, let's say that this was 11 and this was 12. This is actually going to be the bigger number because I have less cuts. My candy bar is broken into 12 pieces here. It's broken into 10 there. So that's the bigger piece. Remember, the least amount of cuts you have, the bigger your pieces are. Okay, so that was our math bait. Okay, I'm gonna flip you around. So another thing that we had to learn this week is how to write a metaphor. And this is not easy. Metaphors are hard. Similes are a lot easier because you can just say like or as. But these are a little bit different. Okay, I do want to go over this, which I've gone over this with you guys before, but I know that I already had a student say, Miss Griffith, I can't read this slide. So once again, I'm going to go over with you how to make this slide bigger. So if you go over here to the little magnifying glass and you click 100, it makes it bigger and you can read it. So what you had to do was read the sentence and see which one of these words would make a good metaphor. So Emily's eyes were sparkling. Were sparkling what? So with a metaphor, we're saying that you are exactly like something else. Okay, you're not like as you are. We're saying you are something else, right? Okay. So Emily's eyes were sparkling sandpaper? Probably not, right? Fox, music, breeze, volcano, bull, rock, jello, oven, glass, diamonds. Diamonds would be the best option here. So on here, you can type right on here and you're going to type the word diamonds. So her sparkling eyes were diamonds. Now down here at the bottom, you had to make up your own metaphor, and I saw some good ones like, my brother is very stubborn. He is a mule, because stubborn goes along with being a mule, right? So you're comparing your brother to a stubborn mule. But you have, remember with the metaphor, you have to say he is a stubborn mule. Okay, so that was our metaphor work that you had yesterday. You guys were supposed to watch video and then do your work for that. Okay, next thing, quotation marks. Okay, this one was a little bit harder, and I'm actually going to show you this one on the whiteboard because it's a little tricky. They put on this one what needed to go into quotation marks in the beginning and in the end, and in the middle they tell you who's talking. So it's a little bit trickier. So I'm going to put you back down here and I'm going to use this. So here is your example. It says, why, asked Peter, do we have to learn the alphabet? Okay, so Peter is actually saying why. So why has to go in quotation marks because that is what Peter said. But the next part, they're telling you who's talking, asked Peter, does not go in quotation marks because Peter's not going to walk around and be like, asked Peter. I mean, we know Peter said it because it came out of his mouth. So we would put a comma after that, no quotation marks around asked Peter. Then we need comma again, and then your quotation marks for what the rest of what Peter said, which was, do we have to learn the alphabet? Do we have to learn the alphabet? Okay, so, and then question mark, and all of that goes in quotations. Okay, so it's a little tricky because this guy right here doesn't get quotation marks, but we need to put a comma around that because we would pause. Why, asked Peter, do we have to learn the alphabet? So those were a little bit trickier, but you guys can do it. I know you can. So especially if you just, look at the examples in the book that you were supposed to read on Epic, and then you'll get it. Okay, next thing that we did was we are practicing measuring to the nearest inch and half inch. We don't want you guys to worry so much about the 1/4 inch or 1/4 of an inch because we really need to be with you guys to show you how to do that. So today your slides were only supposed to have like 4 slides, but something got messed up with the material. So I'm only going to go over the first 4 slides because that's all you were really supposed to do today. So if you looked at your paper on Google Classroom, it looked like this. So one of the things that you had to do was read, and it says, use the orange arrow to point to 6 1/2 inches. So 6 1/2 inches is going to be, this is 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, 5 inch, 6 inch, and then that next little mark is a 1/2 inch, because this is 1/2 inch, 1 whole inch, 1 1/2 inches, 2, 2 1/2, 3, 3 1/2, 4, 4 1/2, 5, 5 1/2, 6, 6 1/2, 7, 7 1/2, 8. So if it says take the orange arrow, you can click on this little arrow right here, and then you can move it right up here to 6 1/2, and it points right at that arrow. Okay? And then it says use the yellow arrow to point to 4 inches. So you would take your yellow and drag it right up here, drop it right on the 4, and there you go. That's your 4 inches. Next slide, you were supposed to now just to type the inches. So you had to look at your red line. Everything, remember, has to be lined up with 0, not the end of your ruler. Red line would come straight down to this mark, so that's 5 1/2. So you would find your 5 1/2, click on it, and I believe you can drag it right over there, and there it goes. Okay, and on this one, you just needed to type. I think this one right here, yeah, this is the one. You can actually move this yourself, which is nice. So if I remember, if I want to measure this pen, I have to line up the 0 with the end, okay? Not the end of my ruler, the 0. And it comes to about 7 inches. So then I would write that it is about 7 inches. The nearest 1/2 inch would be 6 1/2. And that's really all you had to do with your inch and 1/2 inch. You were not supposed to do all of those slides. So I'm sorry if you did all of them, but you're awesome if you did. All right, last thing we are talking about, because it is Earth Day tomorrow, we're talking about conserving things and being good to our earth. So on this, once again, you weren't supposed to do the whole thing, but it's okay if you did. We're talking about conservation. So really, conservation is when you are using Earth's resources wisely. This is what conservation is, so you can drag that up there and stick it there. And then why do we do it? It's so all living things can benefit from natural resources in the future. It's kind of like you don't want to spend all your money at one time, right? So you can click on that one, drag it up there. There you go. Vocabulary, same. Recycle, reuse, reduce. These are natural resources, guys. These are natural resources. Natural resources are things you're going to find in nature. So like plants, coal, sun, not plastic. Plastic is man-made. Animals, water, natural gas, soil, rocks, oil, wind. All of those things are natural resources. Okay? And then recycle, reduce, reuse, and you're supposed to tell which is which of this. And really the last thing you were supposed to do is look at this picture and tell us what's wrong with it. Too many people are not recycling or reusing things, making too much waste, basically. Okay, so that was all of your work for yesterday. Be ready to ask me any questions during our Zoom meeting, and also be ready to answer that question. Okay, you should have written it down. You should be working on it now. I'll read it to you one more time. When Lisa was 6 years old, her sister Lucy was half her age. If Lisa is 40 years old today, how old is Lucy? All right, can't wait to see what you guys have to say. All right, I will see you during our Zoom meeting. Bye.